Welcome to the Wellness Growth Show, where we dive into the strategies, systems, and stories behind building scalable wellness businesses. I'm your host, Scott Schumann, growth partner to wellness and health tech founders who are moving beyond one-to-one delivery and into organizations, employers, and institutions. Each week, I sit down with the people actually doing the work, founders and operators growing mission-driven platforms that create real impact and sustainable revenue. Whether you're pivoting from B2C, landing your first corporate wellness contract, or scaling into institutional partnerships, this show is here to meet you where you are with honest insights, tactical conversations, and zero fluff. Let's get into it. Today, we're sitting down with Bonar McCallum, co-founder of Move2Move, who will share his experience. Welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Happy to be
absolutely.
here.
Great. So let's start off with tell me a little bit about your business and
Sure.
what inspired you to start it.
Yeah, we started Move2Move, which is a physiotherapy and movement center in Calgary, Alberta. We're in our 9th year right now. We opened our doors 2017. Basically, what we did for really the inspiration was at that time, my partner and I were both working. I was more working as a coach, and I'm a real avid climber. So I coached climbing, and my partner is a physiotherapist, and she was working in traditional physiotherapy in clinics here in Calgary. Through my work, I did feel that there were just a number of injuries that were coming up that both in myself and my athletes that didn't seem to be addressed very well in some of the traditional physiotherapy models. And my partner as well was just finding that it was really hard for her to really have the space to do what she wanted with her patients to really bring transformational change to them rather than just addressing injuries. So that was the inspiration for us to get going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Take us through maybe your journey from initially, I guess maybe adapting or changing what she was doing.
Wait,
A weird
like,
popping noise.
uh,
I don't know what it is. I'm getting a weird popping noise. Hopefully, that's not in the recording.
in that, yeah.
I'm gonna take two on that. Take us through the journey, perhaps when you guys decided to maybe change the format or how you were handling business and how you were taking care of the patients.
Basically, in a lot of traditional models, most of your treatment is spent on the table with modalities and, very passive approach. This is, I wouldn't say it's across the board because physiotherapy should be a movement-based practice more than anything else. But to do movement, you need the space to do it. You also need to be continuously educated on what are ways that people should be able to move, as well as what are some of the what is research in that area and what is showing that are important aspects of movement to progress through. For example, your strength and conditioning deals with this kind of idea of building muscle and creating healthy bodies, but there's so many other aspects. There's balance, there's coordination, there's all these other things that are critical for us to address. And so that's a little bit of the approach that we've taken with Move2Move is addressing all of those components and trying to make sure that our patients have the tools to actually not just recover from an injury, get out of pain, but to actually lead a more vibrant life. So that's really the approach that's really where our vision is.
I know that you mentioned that your partner was not able to or wanted to create a space, right? Wanted to maybe adapt or do some changes.
Mm-hmm.
Through those changes, did you have any like surprises when maybe, just trying to adapt or trying to figure out, okay, how do we cater and how do we fix this model, or like, did you maybe you can share something on that?
Yeah, I mean, like anybody, when you go in, you're kind of like starry-eyed, and you're like, oh yeah, we've got the best idea in the world. This is going to be easy to do because it just makes sense, you know. But going into a business, you realize that there are so many things to learn. You know, it's not just about having this great idea. It's about all of the pieces of business that you need to put together to make a successful business. And it's the tools and everything, the systems, all of that has to be in place, or no matter how good your idea is, it's just not going to go anywhere. So everything from understanding how to build referral bases, how to get our message out, marketing, all of those things. Like if you just think that, man, we've got this great idea and people are just going to show up, well, people are stuck in their ways. So they need to kind of like, and if we're not in front of people as well, then how are people going to find us? You know, so these were obviously big learning curves for us at the beginning. They were surprises in some ways because you think, oh yeah, this is great. Everybody believes it. All of our friends understand what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's got to go well. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Friends and family all support you. So then
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what do you do after that? Okay.
Yeah.
Share perhaps maybe some ways that like it's evolved over the years.
You know, like a big part of the radical changes that happened in our business was at the beginning, we felt that there was this model of classes that provide movement as well as physiotherapy. And it was like 50-50 is what we were thinking. So we would provide classes, people would come to the classes, we would grow our membership base, and then we would also, for those people who were there, provide services so that if they got hurt, and everybody is going to need some help in a while, that we would have professional help for them. So it would be a seamless transition back to what they love to do. And that was really working quite well, growing membership, a big part of our business growing. But and during that industry was pretty well shut down, and we were not able to continue that portion of the business. And so many other fitness industry businesses really took a devastating hit, at least we're here in Canada. And so we really did have to pivot. We changed our model. We didn't cut out the movement side, but we focused on rehabilitation as the primary source of what we did. We expanded our services. We branched out into, we were at that time only physiotherapy and massage. We branched out into chiropractic. We
Okay.
added manual osteopathic therapy. And we grew that part of the business, and it became well over 90 to 95% of our revenues at that point. And we didn't give up the other side, but we definitely didn't put our energy towards that. What happened since then is that portion of the business, the movement side, has organically grown, and it really does support our vision of providing this holistic care where patients can not only come in and get treatment, but they can also have a place to learn more, get more comfortable with their bodies, understand and get tools to continuously look after themselves, and have a community, which is vital. If you have a community where other people are thinking along the lines as you, it creates a much more healthy for you.
Okay. Tell me, so it sounds good that adding those extra service really helped them instead of just being a physio clinic, like being able to add more on. And um, did you did you add some and then decide, well, maybe this one's not a good fit, or did that kind of come up? I mean, 'cause I think you mentioned that you didn't focus as much on some other things.
Yeah, so really, when we branched out, we were pretty specific and we wanted people who came on to share our vision. So we don't want to go into a really passive model of therapy. We still believe that an active model is really important. But in some ways, adding chiropractic and adding some of those services, it was almost a no-brainer in some ways because it just widens the scope. Like, not every therapist is going to be able to solve every problem, you know. But if we have a wider scope of services, people actually like that because they know that there's a kind of a communication that goes from one professional to another, and they're getting the best possible care that they can for their specific need. You know, and so that actually does make a huge difference. Like, some comes to us and they have a sore neck, and we send them to a chiropractor. Chiropractor will do that, but then they may have the root cause of that they are having, like, uh, character probably not going to look at somebody else where they can communicate together and really solve some of those problems.
Yeah, I mentioned just coming in, and if maybe your thought is to see a physio, and maybe you end up seeing a chiro, but you've got everybody in that one place that they can talk and make a plan for you. And maybe if you see a couple different, it just you've got more options instead of like, oh, I have to leave,
Absolutely.
go elsewhere. It's like, no, you know what? Let's try this. Let's make a plan and see what we can do to help you out. I like that because it
Yeah,
is very common where you go to a location or something, and you only got one option, unless you
exactly.
drive off. Yeah. Okay. What would you say? What's been the biggest challenge in running the business?
I would say growth, building because we were not all that clear on how to run a rehabilitation center, just really finding growth, especially because we are a niche business. We do want to have this vision that's really important to us and that we feel is the best way to treat people and the best way for them to get better. Growth has been something that we've had to really learn a lot about. I think what we did at the beginning is we tried to do it all. Between the two partners, we thought, hey, we'll get through this, we'll figure it out. And we've really found that, what that does, and some of those biggest challenges there is we're doing all the internal work in the business, and we're doing things that we're not really trained to do and that we're not experts at. So really, at that point, we did notice that growth was really hard to come by, and we had to get some professional help in marketing, even in some business coaching to go, okay, these are some of the systems that work really well that are common practices that we had no clue about, both in marketing and in just understanding, some internal communications that we need to instill in our staff to actually have a better referral base, to actually communicate with clients and patients what they need to get better in ways that actually will build our reputation. So that those were areas, like, I think those were hard things to learn because you do think that you're going to be able to do it all. Some of the strengths that I think that we've realized is this idea of getting professional help is a really important step along the way.
Well, not only that, it's like it's very different from being in the business and being in front of and helping your patients versus, well, you got to do activities so that patients can find you. All right. Now tell us what trends you're seeing in the wellness industry that excite you.
Number one, I think that this idea of a multidisciplinary clinic is something that's really exciting for us. And it really fits into our vision where you are getting people who want to see more than just one discipline. They do want to have sort of a suite of services that are provided to them from one location. There's really good advantages to that in that there's that communication level that goes from one therapist to another so that they get their specific needs met. There can be some cost savings as well. Like if they have benefits or that type of thing, they may run out of benefits with physiotherapy, but they can kind of like use up some chiropractic benefits or manual osteopathic benefits to kind of like make their treatment go a little bit further as well as more effective. So we like that approach. I also like this idea that is really trending right now of people really seeking out this idea of being able to look after their bodies through exercise, diet, all of those type of things, as opposed to just having a pill. Like that's really a trend that I think is going to continue to grow, especially when we came out of the pandemic where you notice that a lot of the people who were hit to the worst in that are if they had lifestyle injuries, these comorbidities that really were just an effect of our modern lifestyle. And you learn through that you don't always have a solution of just a pill that's going to make all those things better. You have to look after yourself. And our type of wellness industry can provide people the tools to go after that type of a lifestyle a little bit more. Just to, we don't want to discount medicine. It's super important, sort of traditional medicine approach of health. But I think that this wellness and looking after yourself should be the very front stage. And then when things go drastically wrong, then you need that medicine approach. Right now, it seems like it's almost flipped the other way. So those are really
Yeah.
exciting trends for us.
Yeah. Especially like, I don't know in the UK if we get commercials or in Canada and like, I was talking to different areas and like different people about how in the US we get like every other commercial is a pill,
Yeah.
and it just
Mhm.
it breaks my heart. It's like
Yeah.
uh there's another way, and it's like, oh well, there's this pill, well there's that pill. Did you? Oh, well, you've got this symptom. It's like there's always some new symptom that they come up with. There's a
Yeah.
pill for it. Yeah, it's like
Yeah, and that's a really I think if we do are able to break through and let people know that yeah, it's important to have those resources, but if you're not looking after all of the other stuff, like there's really good research out there to say that a high percentage of our health doesn't come from that; it comes from how we eat, how we
hmm,
exercise, how we move, good clean drinking water, all of those type of things are so critical. And if the message comes from a higher and a higher place of prioritizing that rather than the pills or rather than the interventions, I think you'd see a drastic change. And that's really a big part of our vision.
and especially if you can start at an earlier age where you're rather than trying to backtrack and like fix things. It's like, well, if you start early on, you have a better chance. But yet, when we're younger, we don't want to listen to any of that stuff that we're told.
Exactly.
We just do what we want and we'll do whatever we want to our bodies and then pay the price later, which is not the
Yeah.
right way.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's another vision though that we are actually quite excited about is how many people in their older years are now looking at, okay, I'm in these years where there is going to be some decline in my health, but how do I really manage that in the best way to give myself as a vital life as I can in my aging years? And the trend in the industry there, like you get the Peter Attias and the Andrew Hubermans, these sort of influencers who are talking about that and going, it's not like, I mean, this sort of decline is inevitable. It is inevitable in some ways, but there are ways to actually just create a better life for yourself as you get older. And this is a trend that we see is really important to what we do. We deal with a lot of people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and into their 80s, and providing them tools to actually live a much more vibrant life is something that we're really passionate about.
I think it's important, especially, I think about my own parents and just being able to, if there's certain movement that they can't do, and if there's exercises or something they can do that help them or strengthen so that they
Yeah,
can do
absolutely.
them. Yeah, it's super important.
Yeah, all those things like balance, like this idea that you get more fearful because, just walking downstairs or walking across the floor, like the fear of falling. Like if you start to provide tools like, okay, how do I get to the ground? Like, what are important things that I want to do? All these kind of questions come up. And there are ways out there that we can actually work on a lot of that stuff with people, and we really enjoy it, and it's a really fun direction for sure. Yeah.
Great, great. Well, I thank you for sharing your valuable insights and experiences with us today. Tell people how they can connect with you, whether it should be your website, or social handles.
Yeah. www.move2move.ca. We That's the best place to reach us. You can connect with our Instagram at move.to.move. And we are also on Facebook. You'll be able to reach us anywhere there. If you hit up our website, you'll be able to connect to us
Navigate.
directly with any questions. Yeah.
Great. Thank you all for joining us on the Wellness Growth Show. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow the Wellness Growth Show on Spotify and share it with other wellness professionals in your network. Until next time, keep growing and transforming lives through wellness. Thank you. All
Thank
right,
you.
that's it. So I